So you don't do hot drinks?
Not too much. Either stay on water or like a lemonade here and there. But
You guys want some brekkie?
what's brekkie?
Breakfast. It's Australian for breakfast.
They say brekkie.
I've never been to Australia, and I've probably met less than 5 Australians.
That's how.
But here I am representing Australia. I think they call it brekkie.
Yeah.
My man here is in the hot seat. What's the traction?
Real start, I guess.
Yeah.
It's about starting out.
But yeah, I mean, it's like this, the journey. So you're gonna fail for a very, very, very long time, and then you start to look back and see some semblance of success, right? The punchline is Stanley here, good friend of mine, gotten to know each other very well recently, and I guess he's fair to say he's somewhat inspired by my journey in private equity, buying businesses, in my case in the UK. Stanley's got a very international background, originally from French. From French. You're from French.
I'm from French.
From France. And Guadeloupe?
Yeah, origins, yeah.
Yeah, from France and Guadeloupe. Spent some time in the UK, living in Manchester, for example, been in Copenhagen, and we're just discussing how Stanley here can build his own private equity company and start buying businesses.
That's the objective. Huh?
Using leverage, baby. What are your initial thoughts? Have you had a chance to review the video I sent? Or?
Yeah, I've watched that video quite a few times now. Making notes, just going through it all, and making sure I clearly understand some points.
If you have any doubts, what are those doubts? Or if you have questions, what are those questions like? What are the unchecked boxes in your mind?
Let's say people want to sell their business, so I don't think that's the problem. I think that the only difficulty, or maybe not in your experience, is the fundraising part. But I'm guessing it is.
The money.
Yeah.
It always comes down to the money.
It's down to the money.
Whenever entrepreneurs go around in circles, it's always down to money.
It's just about where the hell do you find those investors, man?
Money. How do you get the money, Hughes? Man, I should just have like, if I got a quarter for every time there was a version of how to get the money use. Look, money is just a resource. It's just fuel, right? So fuel for what? Fuel to take a vehicle forward or take it to the next level. Money is looking for you. Money is looking for your deals. Money wants to be productive. Money wants to multiply. So how do you find the money? Well, you think about everything that I've just said and you reverse engineer. In my case, you start with the deal, because if you find a bad deal, you'll never get money, because there's no good money for bad deals. There's a lot of money for great deals. So what is a good deal? What is a good price? Well, let's start with what is a bad price. If you pay 10 times earnings for a business, that means the business has to earn that money for 10 years before you make your first profit. You essentially work for free for 10 years. That's probably a bad deal. So if you can buy a business or get someone to say that they will sell you their business for between 1 and 3.5 years of profit, that's a great deal. That's a reasonable deal. That's a fair market value deal. You express your interest to acquire this business to the bank. The bank will ask you a series of questions. You just do back to back. Every question they ask you, you ask the seller, because it's not your business at the end of the day. You are the interface, right? Yeah. So let's do it again. £1 million profit. The seller agrees to sell you the company for 3.5x, which is 3.5 million. Great. The bank agrees to give you 2 of those 3.5 million. Great. The seller agrees to defer 1 million of those 3.5 million. Great. How much do you need now? 0.5 million. What do you have? You've got a great deal. You've got a letter of credit from a bank. Now you go find the money. Okay, Wednesday the 16th, that's 3 weeks from today. You would have been on at least 5 seller meetings. You would have been on the other end of 5 seller calls. Honestly, that's good enough for me. Like, even if you haven't had a face-to-face opportunity, you would have done 5 seller calls 3 weeks from now. Is that a deal?
That sounds good. Oh yeah.
Boom.
Hold me up to it.
You see that, Oscar? Holding the man accountable. 5 seller calls within the next 3 weeks. No excuses. The scoreboard should be 5 and 0. 5 seller calls, 0 excuses. Don't bring 0 and 5. You know, Yusuf, my tummy was hurting. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I had an emergency trip to France. Meanwhile, it's Khan hanging out in the sun. Deal?
5 and 0. Deal.
Boom.
Oh yeah, man.
We call that 50 Cent, aka Curtis Jackson. Corny jokes all day. I'll be here all night. Peter Kubicki is around the corner. I haven't seen him in a few weeks. And I guarantee when I run into him, he's gonna complain. He always makes fun of me. And I want to bet he's gonna say something like, why didn't you take me to Saudi Arabia? That's a bet. I wanted to say hi to my boss. Say hi to my boss.
But you're more on TV than doing business.
Good to see you, man. How's it going?
All good.
Very nice.
And you?
Very good, very good.
When do I get involved with real money? Making real money.
Real soon.
Real soon.
Yeah.
Real money.
Not Gambian dollars.
Dollars. I cannot afford this year.
That's
I need to make money, right? Now my guys out in Indonesia start making money for me. Annoyed that you didn't tell me about the Saudi trip.
True.
But I need to. Unfortunately, I have a meeting right now. But I need to get an update on what happened in Saudi.
I'll give you the full update.
Yeah, but I'll call you later.
Okay, that's a deal.
See you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Nice. 10-1. Love it. Paul crushing it, lining up deals, talking to companies for sale, gauging their appetite to do a deal with us, making them offers, and then back to back jumping on investor calls with me. It's like Shaq and Kobe, baby. Shaq and Kobe. I'm Kobe. In case they wondering, the Green Mamba. Kicked off the day, mentoring Stanley Saha. That's my good friend. Happens to be former footballer Louis Saha's son. But just as an independent guy, I love that guy. He's humble, hardworking, ambitious. Just jumped off a call with Paul, my CEO at the Ventilation Group, and now we've got an investor call. We're trying to raise money. We need some capital. You know, I switch hats, right? So I had on the mentor hat. Now I've got on the fundraiser cap, and later I'm gonna wear my, media guy cap, because Oscar puts me to work every damn week talking about use, when we shoot and what we shoot and what you got going on this week, what you got going on today. Got that big ass countdown every week. TikTok. How many days left, Oscar? Do you even know? Like 600 days left. I'm supposed to make miracles happen in little time.
Yeah.
Kobe, baby. We hit the buzzer beater. Let's go.
Okay. What's the meeting about?
So, we've been meeting with different, very large investment companies. Most of them are in America. Some are very large US private equity shops. They've got tens of billions of dollars under management, some of them. And we're speaking to either their US main branch or their UK arm. And basically we're just pitching them on our equity story. We're informing them how much money we need. We need, honestly, a lot of money. I'm even scared to say it on camera, because Oscar's gonna take that and make that a KPI. But capital. Tell them what we're working on. And honestly, I have never worked in a business where we know what we're doing. This really is just add water, just add capital. We're pure execution mode right now. We're not inventing nothing. We are not trying to figure out the business model. We are the business model. So Oscar, I'm looking to crush. And then we're gonna do a little bit of shopping. I actually have a job, Oscar. Despite what the comments may say, I have a job. I have to be a professional, you know what I'm saying? I have to show up and speak eloquently and try to raise some money.
So what is an effective fundraising strategy?
Walking up to strangers and saying, give me money, is not an effective fundraising strategy. An effective fundraising strategy is first figuring out a way to efficiently deploy capital into a vehicle that gets more capital back in return, i.e. a growth vehicle. What do investors want? They want to give you some money, and then with a bit of time, you give them more money back than they gave you. And then there's two factors. One is time, and the other is how much money you return back to them. If someone gives you $1 million and it takes you 30 years to give them $1.5 million, and that's a pretty crappy investment, because it took 30 years time to get back that 50% return. On the other hand, if someone gives you $1 million and 6 months later you give them back $1.5 million, that's an excellent internal rate of return, because essentially time was shortened and you gave them a 50% return in a short amount of time. So what you need to figure out is, can you build a vehicle that can efficiently absorb capital, deploy investor capital, retrieve capital back, i.e. make money, and hand it back to the investors in a reasonable amount of time, typically 2 to 7 years, and hopefully it's a lot more money than they gave you, i.e. it's a very high internal rate of return. At Ventilation Ventures, we're looking to raise anything between 25 and 100 million bucks. We might raise nothing. Now, assuming we raise 100, we can probably deploy that within 2.5 to 3 years and build a really large group, which then commands a higher value than the group that we started building today. 1 minute, I'm jumping in. Oscar makes me out of breath before the damn calls, and Oscar ain't giving me no damn money. Hey Nils.
Okay, yes. There you go.
How's it going, buddy? Very nice. And yourself? I have to say, with a name like Nils, I would speculate and ask whether you're from Scandinavia.
Yeah, some people do think that, but I'm actually from Germany, so a bit different, but still similar-ish area.
Yeah, I mean, in Scandinavia they spell it with an E, N-I-E-L-S.
Born and raised in Germany. We have our headquarters here in London. That's where we are all based, mainly. How about you guys?
Well, I can go first. I'm originally from West Africa, the Gambia, born and raised there. The short version is I lived in America for 4 years, London for 5 years. I'm an entrepreneur, been building businesses since 2010, built different companies, exporting commodities to China, blah, blah, blah. For the purposes of this call, I'll just zoom into 2019. Together with partners, I started doing a roll-up strategy in the steel fabrication sector. So we started by buying one relatively small company in Newcastle called JHT Fabrications. That's about £2.5 million in revenue. I founded a holding company called Northern Industries. We then executed an M&A roll-up, did about 4 transactions in 5 years. That now sits as a group, 300 full-time employees, about £35 million in revenue, about 2 million in EBITDA. And the biggest company we bought was one called Steelway, which when we bought it was doing about 12 million in revenue. The mandate was focus on revenue acceleration because we wanted to list it on an alternative stock exchange. And we took that from 12 million to about 22 million in 2.5 years. So that's that story. But you know, we made a lot of mistakes there, Nils. I mean, frankly, one of them was we considered listing on the alternative stock market, Nasdaq First North here in Scandinavia. That was a bad idea. We can talk about that either here or over coffee at some point. But anyway, that sort of burnt 2 years. What Paul and I decided is I partnered with Paul and he partnered with me about 1.5 years ago. And we said, look, let's build an HVAC group in the UK, import all of the positive lessons from the steel group and none of the negative, and scale extremely quickly and make shit tons of money. And so we registered Ventilation Ventures last March, did the first deal in June. Company called Gradwood, based in Stockport in England, does about 7 million in revenue. And the thing with that deal was, by the way, I'm rambling, but I'll just tie this up. Their financial year ends March. So March 2023, they did about 1.9 million in profit before tax. March 2024, 1.7. But Paul and I, we figured in collaboration with the owners and the sellers that actually normalized, that's £1 million EBITDA business. So what we did is we valued that company at £5 million, but of which 2.5 was from their own balance sheet. So we only paid for the business, of which 0.5 million was seller finance. In other words, we paid million in deployed capital for a 1 million normalized EBITDA business. And right now we're raising capital to sort of grow that. We're raising $100 million at scale, but in tranches of $25 million. And the math is for each $10 million of equity, we can buy $10 million of EBITDA. So that's our story. And we're looking to raise some capital to go make this happen. And Paul, I don't know if you want to say a few words.
We are buying, and I'll use the American as mom and pop businesses.
Yeah.
And these businesses have got to 10, 15 million of turnover over the 50 or 60 years that they've owned them. And when you ask them how they've done it, I think some of them are quite shocked they're even at that level because it's all word of mouth.
Thanks so much. That was a great introduction. Thank you very, very much.
So in the UK, just take a step back. My understanding is 97% of businesses are not for sale. So 97 not for sale. At any given time, there's 3% for sale. Now, the data suggests that of the 3% that are for sale, only 1 in 5 transact. So you can look at that in 2 ways. Either you can say, when you finally raise your hand and say you're ready to sell your business, it's 80% you're not going to successfully sell. Or you can say you will successfully sell, but it will take you 5 years. We obviously look at the on-market deals, right? So if something is for sale in the HVAC sector doing 5 to 25 million in revenue, we want visibility on that company. But I think where we really start to create value here is going after the 97%. So the companies that are not officially for sale in the off-market sector.
That makes a ton of sense. That's super, super clear. Thank you so much. I appreciate we only have 2 minutes. Would love to understand how you're thinking about the equity round. You mentioned the 100 million in 4 different tranches.
Yeah. All right, wrapped up an investor call. These calls are high intensity, high pressure, high stakes, high focus, and I am nowhere but in that meeting, listening, observing, watching his body language, reacting, taking notes, playing Shaq and Kobe with my man Paul, and trying to create value and get that paper, baby. Today I'm representing my business partner Kyola. If you want to raise money, let's call this the money episode. If you want to raise money, contact Kyola. This episode is sponsored by the private equity company Kyola. And I had a very nice pair of glasses, not that these aren't nice. And I wore them in the south of France last summer, and someone like sat on them. So that's like my second pair of nice glasses that have been destroyed. When you open an empty fridge and you think that there'll be food there now just because you opened it again, it's the same with those white pants. I keep trying it on. Yeah, exactly. What do you got? Do you have anything more summery? Yeah. Good. Thank you. I've come to this place quite often, and like 3-4 times I've tried a pair of their white pants. Never fits. My ass is too big. What's up, Oscar? They have such classy stuff here.
Yeah, who want a shot, wanna die, let me know. I got 2 on the hip and a knot, no diggity. Say you smooth like an R&B song. How you keep me so you man, they killing me, numero uno. Might kick like judo.
And I think if you have like just like a white button up, I'll take one as well. It's an interesting texture. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them Italian. When I come into a store like this, sometimes I just want the entire mannequin. Yeah. They make the mannequin look so damn suave. This guy can sell me whatever, I'll take it. This is awesome. What do you think, Oscar? I look like Scrooge McDuck's nephew or something. Do I look like I own the boat, or do I look like I work for the guy that owns the boat? It's a very serious question. I own the boat?
Yeah, I'll find it.
All right, very nice. And think about it. And I think you have so many nice things that I love. I might as well wait and find something. We're both wrong. It's 15K.
7,292.
Not too shabby. Hey.
Nice surprise.
That's a nice surprise. You see, there was a discount in there somewhere, right? True. Okay. Actually, objectively not bad.